Hello, dear Polymer Clay enthusiast. I'm Michaela from Learn Polymer Clay, and I'm back with more inspiration for your work with Polymer Clay. I'm starting a new series, a Valentine's Day countdown, and I'll bring you inspiration to create wonderful, I hope, Polymer Clay hearts and anything that could be related to Valentine's Day and love. So for today I have prepared a technique that is based on a special mosaic that you can apply to small objects like polymer clay jewelry or larger objects like polymer clay vases, polymer clay art journals, or I don't know, any object that you would like to decorate in a beautiful way. Let's dive into the tutorial. I'm working with white polymer clay that I have previously conditioned and passed through a medium setting of my pasta machine, and then I try to use the Makings clay texture sheet to texture the back of the piece, but then it looks like I haven't applied enough pressure, so I didn't get a very good impression, but that's okay. I just took my dotting tool and I've made a doodling design on the piece, thinking that I am going to make a free-form heart, free hand-shaped heart, so a doodle design on the back would work great with this idea. And then so I've made sure that I covered all the area that is going to be on the back of the piece. And then using a photo of a lotus flower, I have used the dotting tool to impress this lotus pattern into the polymer clay. So I'm just going on top of the lines using the dotting tool, and this is going to make an impression on the polymer clay. And then I just used my craft knife to cut a free form, free shape, freehand cut out shape of a heart. Well, of course you can use a cutter. And then, as always, I'm taking the time to smooth off the edges. I'm using my hands, I'm using the back of the craft knife, the handle of the craft knife. And then I noticed that the pattern that I've drawn on the back of the piece has disappeared in some areas, so I had to doodle once again on the back of the piece. So keep in mind that you have also this possibility of, I don't know, doodling on the back of a piece to make it interestingly looking. So I'm making sure that I like the shape of the piece and that I have neat borders. And then I am going to take the scrap clay that I removed when cutting the heart shape and put it through the pasta machine, and I used a very thin setting of my pasta machine. I think I used the number 6 of my Atlas pasta machine. As thin as possible anyway. And then I took gold leaf and I applied it on top of the polymer clay sheet and burnished it into the polymer clay with my fingers. I removed the scrap foil and I am going to save it for other projects. And then using my rigid blade, I'm going to cut strips of polymer clay decorated with gold foil. And here you can play with the length, or with the width. I'm sorry, with the width of the strips. You can have a pointy end and I don't know, and a larger end on the other side. So you can consider this idea that you have the possibility to use thinner strips, larger strips, pointy strips to make an interesting design on top of the polymer clay. And so I'm going to cut out pieces of these strips, and I'm going to cut out nice edges for these strips, and I'm going to use these pieces to make the borders of the lotus flower petals. So I'm just following the pattern that I've drawn using the flower impression. So I'm creating these petals. I'm cutting a nice end, pointy end for the petals, and then I'm pressing gently these polymer clay strips into the base. As I said, I'm trying to use larger strips, thinner strips to have a beautiful design. So I'm applying the strips on top of the flower impressed pattern, and then I'm curving a little bit the strips to make a nice curved flower shape, petal shape. And then I just use the craft knife to remove the excess clay. And I think that as long as you are working on top of an impressed design, it is easier to make such a flower shape. You just have to follow the lines of the design. And I'm also making sure that the ends of the strips are beautifully cut as well. And then I am going to use eggshells to create an eggshell mosaic. And if you decide to go for this eggshell mosaic idea, you have to know that you'll have to clean a little bit the eggshells. And in fact, after, I don't know, breaking up the egg, I don't know, I recuperate what's inside the egg, and then I put the eggshells under running water, and I'm removing the white thing, which is called the membrane of the eggshell. And then you are free to use the eggshells to decorate everything you want, including beautiful polymer clay jewelry pieces or other types of pieces that you could make with the polymer clay or any other objects. And then I just used ink pens in pink and pale purple colors. and the reddish color as well that I'm going to use at the base of the petal. These eggshells are very absorbing, they absorb very well the colors. You just have to, I don't know, put the ink in contact with the eggshell, and it goes very quickly into the eggshell. And I recommend you to use several colors, several shades for a beautiful eggshell mosaic. And I'm applying several colors on top of a piece, and then I will just use my fingers to press on these pieces, and they will break into smaller pieces, and these are in fact the pieces that I'm going to use for the eggshell mosaic. So I'm decorating several pieces to make sure that I have enough for my polymer clay piece. And then I am going to use Fimo liquid as a glue, as a bonding agent to stick these eggshell colored pieces into the base. So I'm alternating the colors. I decided to start with a darker color at the base of the petal, and then I'm just applying different shades of pink and purple. And I'm using my tweezers to apply the eggshells on top of the design, and also to move the beads around in the design. And then it's just like any mosaic, you will have to play a little bit with the colors, with the shape of the pieces, to, I don't know, to decorate the best you can a piece, and in the same time trying not to leave gaps between these mosaic pieces. And this is a little bit time consuming, but in the same time it is relaxing. If you like doing mosaics, I'm sure you like doing this kind of mosaic as well. And this mosaic is very interesting because I'm sure you have the possibility to recuperate the eggshells and then remove the membrane, and then use ink pens, or I don't know, or any other kind of alcohol inks, and color these eggshell pieces, and then you will have everything you need to make a beautiful mosaic. If you don't have Fimo liquid, you can bake the piece, and then you can use I don't know, an adhesive, well-bond adhesive, or any glue that dries clearly, and glue these eggshell pieces on top of the polymer clay piece, and then you can finish by applying resin, or I don't know, the varnish of your choice to protect the piece. And you could even go for applying white uncolored pieces and then color the pieces while stuck into the polymer clay piece. But I prefer, I don't know, playing with the colors and the sizes. So for me, this process is, I don't know, the best way I could do a polymer clay piece decorated with eggshell mosaic. And then I decided to use a clasp component and turn it into a bail. I'm not going to use this as a clasp, but I thought it would really look nice for this piece, for this heart-shaped piece. So I used my craft knife to make an opening where I wanted to insert the bail, let's say. And then I used Fimo liquid and I pressed the bail inside the polymer clay. And then I did my best to press everything together and to make sure that the bail is stuck into the polymer clay. And then I baked the piece for 40 minutes at the temperature recommended by the polymer clay manufacturer. And I decided to finish this piece by applying resin. I'm working with Environtex resin. So I mixed a part of resin with the same amount of hardener, and then I stirred everything for 2 minutes. And then I applied the resin using a wooden stick. And I'm making sure that I don't have air bubbles. And it is recommended to use gloves when you are working with resin. And because it is very difficult to mix a small amount of resin, it is recommended to prepare more pieces, so you will have let's say a lot of resin to use, and it's better to have several polymer clay pieces that you want to decorate, to I don't know, to seal using resin. So this is the first tutorial of the Valentine's Day countdown. I hope that you liked the tutorial. I hope that you are inspired to create using polymer clay. Please press like if you like the tutorial. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done that so. And stay tuned for more inspiration for your work with polymer clay. Thank you.